Hey gang, how's it going? Normally speaking, for my informal movie reviews for my channel, I talk about the film that I'm going to screen on my car trip to the cinema, and then of course I review it in my car ride home from the cinema after seeing it. But I have to be honest, I'm feeling particularly lazy today, mostly stemming from the fact that Saskatoon had a very surprise early introduction to winter within the last couple of days. We had a massive blizzard that blew through our city. And for those who are not familiar, I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Yes, we do in fact get winter in Canada, and yes, it is indeed cold. But it is highly atypical for us to get a winter blast this quickly in the first week of October, because normally we don't get snow that stays and lasts until usually mid to late November. So it was a really hard and bitter pill to swallow, getting 25 centimeters of snow being thrown up on our city in about 24 plus hours. And I gotta say, the snowpocalypse, it really had a disastrous mental impact on a lot of our city's citizens, including yours truly. I'm going to check out a little independent film that I didn't get a chance to see in the cinemas in the summer. I'm going to check it out on video on demand via my Xbox One. And I'm finally going to check out Hunt for the Wilderpeople. But I just got so tied up with seeing the big summer blockbusters that this one just kind of escaped me and flew in under my radar. And I normally try to broaden my cinematic education as much as possible. I want to see everything. I can just basically chalk it up to pure laziness and oversight that I forgot to screen this film a few months back when it opened. I like the fact that it's a New Zealand film. I like exploring films from different genres and films from different countries. And as far as I read, it set a record for the largest opening weekend gross for any New Zealand film in history. So that's kind of appealing. And I saw the trailers and I think it looked idiosyncratically odd and weird and funny. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So I'm going to check it out on video on demand, and I will be back with a review. All right, gang, I just finished watching Hunt for the Wilderpeople. And I'm pretty sure I mispronounced it earlier, I think. And I'm finally going to check out Hunt for the Wilderpeople. You know, sometimes appearing in front of a camera and trying to do a film review, it's a bit nerve-wracking at times, and sometimes I make mistakes. So, Wilderpeople.
So what do we do now?
We run.
This was a really interesting, quirky, eccentric, I think tonally uneven, but very funny and frequently very moving wilderness dramedy, if I can even call it that. The story itself concerns this young kid who's played by Julian, Dennison, a really wonderfully nuanced and natural young New Zealand actor. And he's kind of this defiant sort of like city kid who seems really unhealthily preoccupied with everything gangster, the whole gangster lifestyle. And he's basically sent by child services to go out into the country and live with this new foster couple.
Apparently he's a real bad egg. We're talking disobedience, stealing, spitting, running away, throwing rocks, kicking stuff, loitering, and graffitiing.
An aunt and an uncle. And the uncle in particular is played by Sam Neill, and I think one of his most grizzled and authentically grounded and lived in performances in an awfully long time. When the aunt suddenly passes away very early on in the film, just as this troubled kid is getting acclimatized to his new environment, child services decides to swoop in and say, you know what, the uncle is not fit to raise the child on his own, and they want to take the child back. So Ricky decides to run away into the bush, and his uncle is in hot pursuit of him.
Goodbye, Ricky Baker.
As well as child services and all the other authorities for that matter. But then the uncle and Ricky decide that they're probably better off together than apart and chasing one another. So they decide to hook up in the wilds of New Zealand while child custody and all these other forces are swooping in on them to try to capture them. And
You lost?
No.
unfortunately, the media seems to make out that the uncle is a child molester, which is sort of unfounded, which really complicates matters altogether.
$10,000 to anyone who can capture them, dead or alive.
Back up, homies!
Oh, alive.
You know, one of the good things about Hunt for the Wilderpeople is that it's a comedy that really sort of defies typical genre conventional labels, which I really, really appreciated. And it sort of has this charmingly offbeat vibe and nature about it that I found really infectious the longer that I sat through the film. And it really does a good job of mixing sincere and funny moments with moments of sometimes traumatizing violence. There's a couple of violent acts in this film that I think animal lovers in particular might have a difficult time watching.
You okay?
No, I'm not okay. This is all your fault, you little bastard.
But nevertheless, it is a warmly inviting and funny film, and I like the way that it sort of melds comedy with trauma and drama. I think it does it really, really well. And at its core, it's really a tale about two misfits, and it's told with a real sort of wonderful spirit and a sense of good humor, and the cast really brings their A game in this film.
Faulkner is Caucasian. Well, they got their own because you're obviously white.
Sam Neill is an actor, I think, that is really underappreciated and undervalued. I think when a lot of people start talking about, you know, some of the better actors of the last 20, 25 years, I don't think his name is really brandied about as much as it should be. Gives this really textured performance as this cantankerous old coot that really doesn't want to have anything to do with this kid. And I guess if the film were to have maybe one little issue is that it is kind of a cliche to have a film about an old cranky man who has to sort of team up with this young rebellious kid, and they both work as respective coping mechanisms for both of them to sort of deal with their respective issues. I mean, it's kind of it's been there, done that before in films.
What? No. You can't read?
What's your
You're like one of those people who like raised by like wolves or something, eh? Ooga booga, me no read.
And the characters have such a sort of authentic charm about them, and they really help to sort of override some of the film's faults. And I like how the film allows for this central relationship to develop slowly and patiently, and it doesn't rush itself too much, which is also really good.
I was trying to tell you it was like the Lord of the Rings.
The young child actor in question, Julian Dennison, what's really great about him is he doesn't have those annoying sort of child actory performance quirks that a lot of other young performers have. He just feels so believable and credible in this performance, and you feel like he's sort of inhabiting a character as opposed to trying to play a character. And he really helps sell the odd couple chemistry between these two misfit characters. This film is directed by, and I have it written down here so I wouldn't make a mistake, Taika Waititi. I'm hoping that's correct. I am astounded to learn that he's going to be directing the next Thor movie. That's really pretty incredible. this film really looks lush and beautiful, and it makes really good usage of the natural New Zealand terrain and the wilderness.
You don't even have a map. Where's our map?
Don't need one. I know where I am.
I mean, it just looks fantastic. It just looks so sumptuous and earthy. I really like the look of this film. For a film with such a modest budget, it certainly doesn't look like a cheap film. I also really like the way he helms some of the core action sequences in the film, which sometimes get a little choppy and chaotic, but there's such an energy about them that you're just willing to forgive them for being sort of out of left field entities in this film.
Run, boy, run. They're trying to catch you. Run, boy, run. Running is a victory.
I guess if this film were to have some issues, is that it does get a little more sort of bonkers and crazy as the film progresses, and it gets a lot more far-fetched as the narrative progresses. I also think sometimes it has a really difficult time trying to hone in on a unifying tone and mood. Sometimes I found it very, very uneven. Just when it starts to settle in on a particular sort of thematic and storytelling vibe, it sort of goes off course and becomes sort of a different movie altogether. So I think tonally the film feels a little off, and I think it could have used a little bit more finessing perhaps.
Fishing stuff, burning stuff, breaking stuff, stealing stuff, throwing rocks.
But nevertheless, I really enjoyed what I saw. I thought it was a genuinely hysterical film. There is a lot of great one-liner zingers in this film, and the cast, again, they really help sell the relationship in this film. It looks stupendous. It captures the natural beauty of New Zealand, and it really deals with some really interesting themes about the notion of family and friendship. And I think if you haven't seen this film, I think you should really give Hunt for the Wilderpeople a shot. Because
What's the fastest way out of here?
Jetpack.
Do you actually have a jetpack?
No? What?
and there you go. There's my review of Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. Thank you again for watching. If you could like this video, I would sincerely appreciate it. If you could also hit that big subscribe button, that would mean the world to me. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you at the movies.